Before we get started colorizing Squeaky over there, let's talk about the Swatches palette in Adobe Illustrator. So I want you to do something. I want you to go up to the Like Photoshop workspace that we've been using, click that button, and go down to Painting. It's another standard set, but it gives us easier access to the things that we need to talk about. Here's the Swatches palette. The Swatches palette in Adobe Illustrator is fundamentally different than the one, say, in Adobe Photoshop. Here's my definition of that. In Adobe Photoshop, swatch palettes are application specific. And in Adobe Illustrator, the swatch palette is document specific. And what do I mean by that? In Adobe Photoshop, if you add colors to the swatch palette, gradients, whatever they are, they will be there forever. Every time you open up a document, you will have access to exactly what that palette is because it doesn't change. In Adobe Illustrator, when you add colors to the swatches palette, they will only be there for that document. It's document specific. So in good old Squeaky the parrot here, you can see the swatches palette. Watch what happens when I say File, New. Just create a new document. Doesn't matter what it is, just click OK. Notice the difference in the swatch palette? Obviously, I made changes to this one. This is the standard default swatch palette that you would get every time you say File, New. This is the one I created to colorize this particular document. Application specific, that's Photoshop, never changes. Document specific, that's Adobe Illustrator, also InDesign for that matter. The idea is, though, you get the colors that you need to get the job done every time you open up the document. I find that an advantage. Once you've got the swatches palette open, you can click over here and you get options for the palette. Some of the options are like new, and we'll go over these as this lesson goes on. You've got new swatch and color group and duplicate. Merge means this. You bring an object in from another Illustrator document, and that object had new colors that you didn't have in this document. They will be added to the swatches palette. If you click Merge, it will look for any colors that are exactly the same and merge them. It makes it a whole lot easier when you try to modify these things. You can delete, of course, and we'll talk about ungrouping on the color group a little bit later. Select all unused colors. Watch what happens when I click this button. It literally selected every color I'm not using. Now I could click the delete button, and it's going to say, are you sure you want to do that? And that's all I've got left, just the colors I used in this document. I'm going to press undo to bring them back again. Thank goodness for undo. You have sort by name, by kind, and show find field. This one's interesting if you have a document that contains a whole lot of colors, and for whatever reason you're looking for a specific color. You can say find field. I could come up here and click in, I want the RGB blue, and there it is. It'll actually find it for me. Color finder. We can show small, medium, in other words, make them bigger if you want to. I take it as you begin to age, you might want larger thumbnails so you can see them easier. We can also change into a list view, and we can change into a large list view. Up to you. Most of the time, the default is this one right here, small thumbnail view. You do have some options. Swatch options are basically choose a color, and then when you click options, it will give you information about that color. We'll talk more about that when we create a new swatch. Down below here again, you've got spot colors. Again, we'll worry about that later. We've got a whole bunch of libraries that are defined for us, art histories and celebrations, and if you want to open one of these, you can. And there's the earth tone library. If for whatever reason you want to add colors to the swatches palette, we could add, watch what happens when I click one of these buttons. You can add literally the entire group. If I take one color and drag it over, I can, as you can see, add it to the set over here. So we have a whole lot of options to add colors to our document. Finally, if we come back over here again, we've got Save Swatch Library as an Adobe Illustrator library. So you create your own swatch library and you'd like to be able to go back to it again. But this is the one I really like. Save Swatch Library as an Adobe Exchange document. What does that mean? Think of it this way. I can create a library of colors in Illustrator and go, oh man, I'd love to use these in InDesign or in Adobe Photoshop. Select that option. Give it a name. You will be able to open them in other Adobe products, which makes the swatches palette even that much more valuable. Now, the same is true in Photoshop and InDesign. You can do the same thing, make them ready for Adobe Illustrator. So the swatches palette itself, easy to understand really. Most programs have a swatch palette. This button here is a shortcut to get to all your different libraries if you want to open them. This button right here allows me to just show swatches, just show gradients, just show color groups, so I can organize and then turn things on and off. This button right here allows me to check the swatch options, which was what we had before. When I click that button, it will tell me what that color is and if I want to change it. This button right here allows me to create a brand new group if I want to do that. And this button allows me to create a new swatch. And of course, this one allows me to take a color and delete it. If you're deleting a lot of things and you really are sick and tired of clicking the button saying, "Are you really sure?" simply hold down the Alt key during the process of deletion and it will do it automatically. That's the Option key on a Mac. So there's the swatch palette. In the next segment, we're going to colorize Squeaky.